Hello and welcome to the Medical Sales Podcast, and I am your host, Samuel. In this podcast, I interview top medical sales reps and leading medical sales executives across the entire country. And it doesn't matter what medical sales industry, from medical device to pharmaceutical to genetic testing to diagnostic lab, you name it. You will learn how to either break into the industry, be a top 5% performer within your role in sales, or climb the corporate ladder. Welcome to the Medical Sales Podcast. Hello and welcome to the Medical Sales Podcast. I am your host, Samuel, and today we have with us a very, very special guest, and her name is Lisa Apple. Now, Lisa is special because she is another graduate of our program, the Medical Sales Career Builder, and she was a physical therapist that was looking for a change. She stumbled upon us, and now she's a medical sales rep, and the rest is history. So I'm not going to spoil it. We're going to get into the details, of course, in this interview. But I am just very proud to bring another student that went to the program and talk about her success. So if you're trying to get into the industry, then you already know this is an episode you absolutely have to listen to. And if you're someone that's already in the industry, maybe you had a hand in helping her get where she is today when she went through our program. So also tune in. And as always, we do our best to bring you guests that are breaking into the industry, as well as creating innovative ways to do things differently in the wide, vast world of medical sales. And I really do hope you enjoy this interview. Hey, Lisa, how are we doing today?
I'm good, Samuel. Good to see you. How are you?
I'm fantastic. No complaints over here.
Awesome.
So why don't you tell everybody who you are and what you do?
Yeah, so my name is Lisa Apple, and I can officially say that I am a territory manager for Bioventus in the neuro rehab division.
Wow. So this is the treat. And of course, now I'm going to share. So, everyone that's listening, Lisa was a physical therapist that found our program, invested, took a chance on herself. And on the other side of the program, she is now a territory manager for Bioventus. I mean, this is a big deal. This is exciting. And I'm so happy to have her on the show today. So with that being said, all right, so Lisa, let's go back. Let's go back to, talk to us about what life was like as a physical therapist before you found us. Where was your head? What were you trying to think? What were you thinking to do? What was going on?
Yeah, so, I've been a physical therapist for about 13 years now, and I actually owned my own business. So I have done many different iterations of that business. I had a brick and mortar for 5 years and, had employees, had a really packed schedule, all of that stuff. And then once COVID hit, my lease was kind of up right in the middle of COVID in 2021. And I think I had just been really slogging through and working hard that I was like, it'd be nice not to have that big overhead because, leases out here in Seattle area are as much or more than most mortgages. So yeah, so even then sort of in 2021, I kind of had that feeling that I wanted to sort of use not only my skills as a PT, but sort of the business side of things. And I thought, well, what else can I do? Most sort of non-clinical jobs will go to nurses. Those are the first, and PTs are kind of like, wait, so I have all these skills, and it's really hard to get your foot in the door. Mm-hmm. So I ended up moving my business home because I felt, huge loyalty to my patients and I do love working with people. Mm-hmm. So I brought it home and created my own in-home business. And I kind of kept that going for, about a year before finally I was like, I still have that desire to do something different and challenging. And I just didn't quite know where to get started. So I was listening to an interview that Philip McGee did with you on LinkedIn, I think.
Wow.
And I just thought, who is this guy, Samuel? And I was super impressed. I think you had mentioned, some of your background, saying that you had, studied a lot of biology and sort of sciencey stuff in school, but and you knew you didn't want to be a doctor.
Right.
But you wanted to use that. And I thought, yeah, that's kind of where I'm going here. I want to be able to use my knowledge because I, totally nerd out on everything sciencey. And then you also said that you had done some work with Tony Robbins, and he had really gotten you,
Right.
you know,
Yes.
influenced. You had gotten this sense of like, I'm back on my game.
Yes.
And something about just the way that you presented yourself and your personality, I thought he knows what he's doing. And so we got on a call together, and then I think you kind of convinced me the rest of the way, like, no, this is worth your investment. Like, and also, would I be a good fit for the program?
Right.
You really looked in, you know, and I know you don't like take everybody, you really kind of look and make sure that they're the right fit for you and
Absolutely.
you're the right fit for them. Yeah.
Right. Fantastic. Okay. So let's fast forward to that. After the discussion you had with me, the first time we spoke on the phone, you know, and I'm sure you talked about it with your family. What said, you know what, I'm going to make this happen? What was it? Someone that spoke to you? Was it just you were already convinced as soon as we got off the phone? Was something that you saw or did? Talk to us a little bit about that.
Yeah, I think you explained to me in the program that there was going to be a lot of coaching in terms of, you know, you're going to really dig deep into your story, and you're going to craft your story in such a way that you will be able to, you know, be honest with recruiters, be honest with hiring managers, but really tell a compelling story of how your skills or how my skills could benefit them. And I thought, I think that's what I need, because I had done some interviews and I had gotten up through like, you know, three rounds or whatever. And then it fell apart for whatever reason. Some was good. Some was my choice. I kind of walked away from a few, but I had been at the beginning stages of an interview with Bioventus, even, you know, months before I met you, and hadn't heard anything for a while. And I just thought, you know, I'm going to do something to make this happen. Like, it just really felt right for me.
Right.
Because it's, you know, being able to use my clinical skills in sort of that neuro space.
Yes.
And talk to providers. And I think you really said to me, like, Lisa, you talk to providers all the time. You have done that in your own business. Like, you could do this. So I think it was how you explained the program and how it was really laid out in a very structured way, but also had some interaction with industry leaders. And of course you, because you've been there and you've had that kind of career in medical sales and been successful. So I just felt like you had a lot of knowledge to share. I wasn't sure how it was arranged before I got in.
Right. And don't give it away yet. Don't give it away. Yeah. Don't give it away yet. Okay. So let's actually, you know what I want? I want the audience to be really crystal clear on what your role actually is. So give us a little bit about what it means to be a territory manager for Bioventus. Who's your call point? What are you actually selling? And call points and what you're selling.
Yeah, so as a territory manager, I will be responsible for capital sales. So that means going into facilities, hospitals, rehab facilities, and talking to them about bringing on the products that are part of the neuro rehab division. And so some of those are really big, expensive pieces of equipment, and then some are more sort of just for an individual patient. So some would be used on the whole, you know, patient caseload, and then some would go for individual patients. And then I work really closely with the clinical specialist as well. So we would be a team. That was super appealing to me too, because, you know, being out on your own for a while, 8 years, like I created my own team, but I really wanted to have that.
Absolutely.
So, yeah,
absolutely.
That helps.
Okay. And it's you and the clinical specialist, or is there an associate territory manager? Give us a little bit of layout of the team.
Yeah, there's an associate salesperson, a clinical specialist, the territory manager. And then they also, for one of the products, they have sort of a specialized team. Like I would be the person who would kind of get the leads and get them in the door. And then they would really, work with them, because you have to configure things that are part of their infrastructure.
The technical side.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, I think, by the time all said, and then, a director of sales, obviously for the West Coast, I would be interacting with a ton. So probably, 6, 7 people.
Okay. Awesome. All right. Let's get back to it. So you just got into the program. You've logged in, you're in. Tell us what you experienced. Was it what you thought? Were you surprised? What happened? Walk us through your experience.
Yeah. So I think I joined on a Tuesday evening. And you said, hey, we're having our group call Wednesday at 3:30 Pacific time. I expect you to be there. And I was like, all righty then. So I thought, man, I got to do some homework. So I started going through a lot of the beginning lessons and just really listening. And then also you had said, listen to some of my podcasts too, so I took it on like it was homework and I just really dove in. I think you recommend like 3 to 6 hours a week. I think I had done like 6 hours before that first meeting on Wednesday, because I kind of like to do that anyway, where I dive deep. And so then I showed up for that first group meeting, and you had said we might get on the hot seat, and I went, "Ooh!" I got a little nervous, but I jumped right in, and it was in a little bit different section than I had started with at the very beginning. But that was okay, because you assured me that we would circle back around to other material. We would always go back. So it was kind of fun. It was a little bit of a little bit of performance anxiety, which I'm kind of used to. So it was good.
What did that, so that's something I really want to highlight. It was a classroom dynamic, almost like you're part of a little family, so to speak.
Yes.
How did that help through your process of just going through the multiple interviews, everything you did to get this position? How did that help? And if it didn't, tell us the truth. Did it help? Did it not help? Yeah. What was it like for you?
Well, that first night, what you did was you threw something out there as like, this is kind of your first interview. And you talked about the first person to kind of break the ice is it puts them at ease, right? And so you gave an example of like an interviewee who would just be like, oh yeah, it's nice to meet you. And then that was it, versus like picking something about that person that they had discovered, through LinkedIn or doing some research, or even like commenting on something in their environment and saying, hey, tell me about that, as a way just to make it more human, instead of feeling like, oh, wow, I'm the one that is the underdog. Like you were very specific about saying, like, put yourself on that even playing field.
Right.
Yeah. So that was, I thought to myself, I was like, wow, you can do that? Like, I didn't even know, because, I come from, so this is interesting. I come from, the PT background. Basically, right out of school, you do your clinicals. And a lot of times people will get jobs from that last clinical or one of them that they have done. Sure. Because you do like 3 12-week clinicals and then like a 4-week clinical. So you can go back to all those employers and say, hey, remember when, you saw me work for that long, you want to give me a job, unless they just offer it to you. Right. So there's not a huge long interview process for physical therapists. Yeah. It's kind of like, we've seen
they hit the ground. They're running, hit the ground running. Yeah.
So the idea of having 6 or 7 interviews in front of me to get a medical sales position was extremely daunting. Like, I think I said to you, like, are you kidding? Really?
But you handled it with amazing prowess, because
and by the end I had done 7.
Yeah, you really had done 7. So, okay. Were there any pleasant surprises that you had throughout your experience in the program? I mean, you were with us, I don't remember the amount of days, but I want to say right around 4 months, I think. So give us what surprises, what things did you not expect that you were like, oh, I didn't know I didn't get this, anything?
Yeah. So I love the mock interviews. Like I didn't expect it until I got into the program or until I spoke to you about it, but those were really helpful. I think I ended up doing 3 mock interviews. Sure. And I think that made all the difference, because I got to practice telling my story in a really authentic way. And then you would kind of give me tips of like, hey, bring this in more, because they're going to want to know that about you. Right. And then I think the preparation for once you get your foot in the door, like getting the 1-year plan together, business plan, getting the 30, 60, 90-day plan together, having all of that stuff in the Win the View, which is like your career portfolio. I just followed your advice, and I literally, I sent it to the hiring manager digitally. And then when I met them, I brought it in physical form, and they honestly said to me, that is the extra step that you're going to need to do this job. And you just did it without me even asking. And so that was like just hugely reinforcing that, you know what you're doing, and it actually does put you a cut above any other applicant.
You know what? That's awesome. And that's exactly what they saw with you. Okay. So tell us this, Lisa, if right now, we have listeners that are trying to get into the industry. We have listeners that are already in the industry. what would you say to someone that's listening if they're considering taking a program and using something that can really give them the edge to actually get the position? What would you tell them?
I would say that they can trust that, Evolve Your Success and you have a great team and great information. I think there's so many coaches out there now, and I've done a few other coaching programs, and they're more theoretical, which is great. But I was at that point when I met you that I was ready to really get the tangible steps that it took. And, there's so many PTs out there that are hoping to move on and, wanting to get outside of the clinical realm and utilize that different part of their brain, and take their skills along with them. And I would say that your program would appeal to that. Absolutely. Yeah.
Excellent. Excellent. Now let's fast forward to the moment you heard that you got the job.
Yes.
What was the anxiety level? What did you think when you actually heard the words? Could you believe it? Take us to that moment.
I did my huge happy dance. I was just dancing around everywhere. I couldn't believe it. Yeah. Because it had been going on for quite a while, I had interviewed on the phone. I had interviewed through Zoom. And then I ended up doing about a 4.5 hour in-person interview with the director of sales as well as the clinical specialist. And, while I got the reassurance from the director of sales that we really like you, I want an offer to come your way. He said it might take a little while because it was the holidays or something, and, or maybe a little bit after. Oh, but it was a holiday. Yeah, it was a holiday. And so when it finally came through, I was just so incredibly happy going, I cannot believe that this is happening for me.
Right. Yeah. That is fantastic. Well, Lisa, it's a pleasure to have worked with you and to have you go through the program and get these results and be exactly where you want to be. It's an absolutely beautiful thing.
Yeah, I am so impressed with you and the team you put together. It's amazing. So, yeah.
Thank you.
Doing good work.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Well, with that being said, we'll bring this to a close. We're going to have our lightning round now. Before I do that, is there anything you want to share, again, to any medical sales reps listening, anything you want to share, any life philosophy? Now is your time to just share with the world.
I think doing that work of really getting to know yourself and know what you're looking for was part of your program. Not that, I have done a lot of that in the past. And it appeal to me to do more of that work with you and in a very targeted way.
Right.
So, it just really resonated with me. Yeah, that's amazing.
Excellent. All right, lightning round. So you have 10 seconds to answer these questions. I'm going to ask you 4 questions. And the first one is, what is the last book you've read in the last 6 months?
Untamed by Glennon Doyle.
I want to say I've heard that one. What's the premise of that one again?
It's all about kind of, standing up for your voice and kind of stop being a people pleaser and go out and get what you want.
I like it. Okay, yeah. Untamed. I'm going to check that one out. And it's by who?
Glennon Doyle.
Glennon Doyle. Okay. Mm-hmm. All right, next one. What's the best movie you've seen or TV show in the last 6 months?
I just saw the new Avatar. And I loved it because I love the visuals, I don't know. Have you seen it?
No, the first one was, the biggest thing ever. Does it even come close? I haven't seen it.
Oh, I would say it's better. Yeah. I thought
really? It's better?
It's super long. I will say that. I got up and my knees, I was like, oh, it's hard for me to walk. But just the visuals, and it's a lot of underwater stuff. And it kind of talks about, the underdog in the world and how some people shun people and then they don't know the whole story. And so then there's some themes about bringing that person back into the fold and, so it's kind of heartwarming. Yeah.
Ooh, okay. Yeah. And then what is the best meal you've eaten in the last 6 months?
I would say sushi meal that I've had out here because I love sushi. So I'm going to forget now the name of the restaurant.
Yeah, you have to give us the name of the restaurant. You can't tell us best sushi and not give us a name.
It's in downtown Bellevue, and it's the top of this floor. It's gorgeous. They also have like beef, like Wagyu beef. So if you're not a sushi fan, they've got that too.
Okay.
I'm going to have to get back to you on that.
Okay. Hopefully you get it to us before the show notes.
Yeah.
Okay. And then last thing, what is the best experience you've had in the last 6 months?
Okay, was it 6 months ago? Yes. So in the late summer, I went back to Boston to pick my daughter up after she did a summer ballet intensive. And we went on an East Coast tour of colleges. And then we wrapped it up with an 80th birthday party for my dad in Kentucky. So
generations, cool. Look at that.
Yeah, it was cool just to get everybody together. Yeah. So
that is amazing. Well, again, Lisa, it was such a pleasure to have you on the show. We can't wait to see the amazing things you're going to do with Bioventus, and we're going to be following up with you. So thank you for being on the show.
Thank you so much, Samuel.
And that was Lisa Apple. It's so refreshing to have a guest like that, a client that we worked with that trusted us to help her get to where she wants to be and see her there. It's a beautiful thing, and I'm so grateful to be a part of it and be able to share it with all of you on the airwaves. So of course, if you're someone that wants to get in, you heard it firsthand. What are you waiting for? If you've been banging your head up against the wall because you're not getting the success you want and getting a role, or you're kind of at the top of the journey and you have no idea where to turn to or where to start, then again, what are you waiting for? Visit evolveyoursuccess.com and let's turn you into one of our success stories and get you into a medical sales position. And of course, if you're someone out there that's listening to this and you're in the field, you're already working, you already have a role, but there are things to be desired and you want to see more success, then again, what are you waiting for? evolveyoursuccess.com, select improve sales performance. Let's have a conversation and let's get you to where you deserve to be. As always, we love bringing guests on the show that I can now say we help get positions, guests on the show that bring innovations to medical sales, guests on the show that are trailblazing new ways to do things in this industry. And I'm grateful for all of you listeners that come back every single week to listen to us share and share and share some more. So thank you for listening to the Medical Sales Podcast, and make sure you tune in next week for another episode. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. And remember, I have a couple programs that show you exactly how to break into the medical sales industry, become a top-performing medical sales professional, and also how to masterfully navigate your career to executive level leadership. Check out these programs and learn more at evolveyoursuccess.com. Stay tuned for more awesome content with amazing interviews.